Today we're diving deep into the shocking events unfolding in Venezuela. On January 3, 2026, the US bombed Venezuela and kidnapped President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. But is this really about drugs and democracy? Buckle up, because what I'm about to reveal will blow your mind. This is about the survival of the US dollar itself. Stick around to the end. You won't believe the connections to Israel, the Rothschilds, and a 50-year-old secret deal. Let's start with the timeline. It's too coincidental to ignore. 5 days ago, Netanyahu visits USA and meets Trump. 4 days ago, the US issues new sanctions targeting Iran and Venezuela. 3 days ago, Netanyahu claims Iran could send arms to Venezuela, saying they're in cahoots. 2 days ago, Netanyahu returns. And on January 3rd, boom, US bombs Venezuela and kidnaps Maduro and his wife. Coincidence? I think not. Now, get this. We can kidnap Maduro and his wife to stand trial in the US. But Trump and his team can't get a single meaningful arrest. For COVID mishandling, voter fraud, the Russia hoax, Epstein scandals, Benghazi, January 6, Biden corruption, Clinton corruption, Obama corruption, or literally anything else. The hypocrisy is staggering. Under Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela was a stronghold of traditional values. Pornography banned. Abortion prohibited. Gay marriage not legalized. Sex change procedures restricted. Usury was outlawed. And Maduro didn't hold back on Israel. He said, they have sown an ideology more dangerous than Nazism. They justify raids, extermination, genocide, and atomic bombs. He even warned, they'll come for the Christians, Catholics. And this is why he had to go. Standing against certain powers gets you targeted. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who served on the Homeland Security Committee for 3 years, says she's 100% for strong borders and stopping narco-terrorists and cartels from trafficking deadly drugs and humans into America. Fentanyl is responsible for over 70% of U.S. drug overdose deaths, coming from Mexican cartels made with chemical precursors from China, trafficked across the U.S.-Mexico border. Mexican cartels are primarily responsible for killing Americans with deadly drugs. So if this U.S. military action and regime change in Venezuela is really about saving American lives from deadly drugs, why hasn't the Trump administration taken action against Mexican cartels? And if prosecuting narco-terrorists is such a high priority, why did President Trump pardon the former Honduran president Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was convicted and sentenced to 45 years for trafficking hundreds of tons of cocaine into America? Ironically, cocaine is the same drug Venezuela primarily traffics into the U.S. Double standards much? The next obvious observation. By removing Maduro, this is a clear move for control over Venezuelan oil supplies. That will ensure stability for the next regime change war in Iran. And let's call out the hypocrisy. Why is it okay for America to militarily invade, bomb, and arrest a foreign leader? But Russia is evil for invading Ukraine, and China is bad for aggression against Taiwan. Is it only okay if the US does it? Venezuela has been liberated just like Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq were. The CIA has staged another hostile takeover of a country, at the behest of globalist psychopaths. That's it. That's what's happening. It's always the same playbook everywhere. Zionists cheer every regime change. There has never been a single regime change operation that Zionists have not applauded, because it means they get to steal land, oil, and other resources. Opposition leader Machado said, "Forget Saudi Arabia, we have more oil than them. We will privatize our entire industry for you. American companies will profit greatly." And here's a bombshell. Nathan Rothschild posts a statement on X, praising and congratulating Trump for the removal of Nicolas Maduro from power. Venezuela's central bank is fully state-owned and controlled by the government. But in 2024, the Venezuelan government hired Rothschild and Company as a financial advisor to assess its foreign debt. Rothschild & Co. laid out exactly how much the regime owed, and who was owed the money. I think you all are smart enough to connect the dots and understand who is orchestrating this regime change operation. Now the real motive. The US is invading Venezuela. Goes back to a deal Henry Kissinger made with Saudi Arabia in 1974. And I'm going to explain why this is actually about the survival of the US dollar itself. Not drugs, not terrorism, not democracy. This is about the petrodollar system that has kept America the dominant economic power for 50 years. And Venezuela just threatened to end it. Here's what really just happened. Venezuela has 303 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, the largest on Earth, more than Saudi Arabia, 20% of the entire world's oil. But here's the part that matters. Venezuela was actively selling that oil in Chinese yuan, not dollars. In 2018, Venezuela announced it would free itself from the dollar. They started accepting yuan, euros, rubles, anything but dollars for oil. They were petitioning to join BRICS. They were building direct payment channels with China. That bypassed SWIFT entirely. And they were sitting on enough oil to fund de-dollarization for decades. Why does this matter? Because the entire American financial system is built on one thing, the petrodollar. In 1974, Henry Kissinger made a deal with Saudi Arabia. All oil sold globally must be priced in US dollars. In exchange, America provides military protection. This single agreement created artificial demand for dollars worldwide. Every country on Earth needed dollars to buy oil. This lets America print unlimited money, while other countries work for it. It funds the military, the welfare state, the deficit spending. The petrodollar is more important to US hegemony than aircraft carriers. And there's a pattern of what happens to leaders who challenge it. In 2000, Saddam Hussein announces, Iraq will sell oil in euros instead of dollars. 2003, US invades Iraq and forces a regime change. Iraq's oil immediately switched back to dollars, while Saddam Hussein, a once CIA asset, was hanged. The WMDs were never found, because they never existed. In 2009, Gaddafi proposes a gold-backed African currency, called the gold dinar for oil trade. Hillary Clinton's own leaked emails confirm this was the primary reason for intervention. Email quote, "This gold was intended to establish a pan-African currency based on the Libyan golden dinar." 2011, NATO bombs Libya. Gaddafi sodomized and murdered. Libya now has open slave markets. We came, we saw, he died. Clinton laughed on camera. The gold dinar died with him. And now, Maduro, with 5 times more oil than Saddam and Gaddafi combined. Actively selling in yuan. Building payment systems outside dollar control. Partnered with China, Russia, and Iran, the 3 countries leading global de-dollarization. This isn't coincidence. Challenge the petrodollar. Get regime changed. Every single time. Stephen Miller, U.S. Homeland Security Advisor, literally said it out loud 2 weeks ago. American sweat, ingenuity, and toil created the oil industry in Venezuela. Its tyrannical expropriation was the largest recorded theft of American wealth and property. He's not even hiding it. They're claiming Venezuelan oil belongs to America because U.S. companies developed it 100 years ago. By this logic, every nationalized resource in history was theft. But here's the deeper problem. The petrodollar is already dying. Russia sells oil in rubles and yuan since Ukraine. Saudi Arabia is openly discussing yuan settlements. Iran has been trading in non-dollar currencies for years. China built SIPs, their own alternative to SWIFT, with 4,800 banks in 185 countries. BRICS is actively building payment systems that bypass the dollar entirely. The M-Bridge project lets central banks settle trades instantly in local currencies. Venezuela, joining BRICS with 303 billion barrels of oil, would accelerate this exponentially. That's what this invasion is really about. Not stopping drugs, Venezuela accounts for less than 1% of US cocaine. Not terrorism, there is zero evidence. Maduro runs a terror organization. Not democracy, the US supports Saudi Arabia, which has 0 elections. This is about maintaining a 50-year-old agreement that lets America print money while the world works for it. And the consequences are terrifying. Russia, China, and Iran are already denouncing this as armed aggression. China is Venezuela's biggest oil customer. They're losing billions. BRICS nations are watching a country get invaded for trading outside the dollar. Every nation considering de-dollarization just got the message. Challenge the dollar and we will bomb you. And please don't fall for the propaganda that Venezuelans are cheering this regime change operation. You would have seen similar people celebrate in America had they overthrown the Trump administration. The timing is insane too. January 3, 2026, Venezuela invaded, Maduro captured. January 3, 1990, Panama invaded, Noriega captured. 36 years apart, almost to the day. Same playbook, same drug trafficking excuse. Same motive, control of strategic resources and trade routes. What happens next? US oil companies are already lined up. The Zionist-approved opposition will be installed. Oil will flow in dollars again. Venezuela becomes another Iraq, another Libya, a failed state. But here's what nobody's asking. What happens when the world realizes the petrodollar is maintained by violence? America just showed its hand. The question is whether the rest of the world folds or calls the bluff. If this video opened your eyes, smash that like button, share it with everyone you know, and subscribe for more truth bombs. Stay vigilant, folks. The truth is out there. Peace out.